Okay, I think that because sexual violence against women is in the media, it makes people, especially young people, think that it's okay because they see it in the movies and in TV shows. So they think that it's okay because other people are doing it.
I think the media influence sexual violence against women because they make women somewhat objective. Like, especially like, for me, I look at hip hop music videos which are played through the media. I look at them as hypersexualizing women and making them objective, meaning that, you know, these men walk around grabbing these women's private areas and things like that publicly on television and make it acceptable for things like this to happen. So there's been personal occasions when I've been out somewhere and I was like, you know, touched inappropriately, but because this is through the media and through music and things like that, it objectifies women and subjects them to being, you know, violated and sexually harassed, and thinking that it's okay to look at women as such, as objects.
Personally, I think the media influences sexual violence against women in all sorts of ways. Primarily, from what I've witnessed, is especially in like crime shows and things like that, and like on television and certain things on the internet, it plays it out to be some sort of sexual fantasy and geared more towards a male perspective concerning, you know, the female gaze. It's like they're hurting women or they're doing something to women, but it becomes something like, oh, it's sexy, or oh, she wanted it, or it's okay, or, you know, somehow she consented to it. It's very over dramatized, very, you know, fantasy-like, highly offensive and sexual, but it just, I don't know, it's transformed over the years. It really has, in the last several decades especially.
Okay, so I feel like the media influences sexual violence against women because basically in music videos that you'll see from rappers and artists, they feature like women in like thongs or like booty shorts or something like that, wearing next to nothing. And most of the time you'll see them like slapping their ass or something, or calling them hoes and stuff. And people that's watching that is getting like they can treat women like that, which is basically sexual, you know, harassment towards women. So once they see it, they go out in the world and they do that to similar women. Or you got BT showing.
Go.
Okay, I think that race is a factor with how women are treated in media. Obviously, like, a lot of people think that it's common for African American men to beat on their wives or their girlfriends. So when they see that in movies or TV shows, they aren't really like taken aback by it. But when they see maybe a white man beating on his wife, or, you know, something like that, that's more surprising to them because it like hits home more, especially like with white people watching media if they see a white man beating on their wife, but it's more expected of African Americans.
I believe that gender, race, and age are all factors of how media and sexual violence can all be like intertwined. I would think that gender, age, and race all work hand in hand because one, they go for a certain age limit when they do like promote, to me, sexual innuendos and sexual objectives to women, which is the gender, and a certain age group is younger women are objectified. You don't mostly see older women being hypersexualized and things like that. They go for the younger women. And as far as race, it's mostly Caucasian, and if they're not Caucasian, they're of other descents, such as, you know, biracial descents or of Latino descents and things like that. You very rarely see maybe dark-skinned brown women hypersexualized or Asian American women hypersexualized, things like that. It's mostly in the Caucasian area. The younger women are touched on mostly, as well as women in general. You don't really see men. And even if you do see men hypersexualized, it is younger men and it's with athletic bodies, especially depictions of sports, anything related to sports. So like commercials that come on Sports Channel hypersexualize these men in ways that, will relate them to the athletic build or things like that. So the sexual harassment part I think will come in is because like women are objectified, like I said once again, but it's only these certain type of women. So it's Caucasian, younger women. So that's where the age, the race, and the gender all come in and factor into the sexual harassment in media.
Okay, I think different characteristics like gender and race and age are definitely factors when it comes to, how the media portrays sex, because you have different audiences that you're trying to advertise sex to. Say if you're trying to portray sex to a predominantly African American audience, you're going to portray it this way, or to a predominantly young audience, maybe they're more influential, they're more gullible, they're more likely to become addicted to, say, highly violent or pornographic material, things like that. Obviously you're going to over-dramatize it and you're going to display it in a completely different way than you would to a older, more conservative audience. So
I think the media, when it comes to like gender, age, race, the media will portray more, I think, Caucasian women as being more of the victims because they're usually in a higher social class, and versus Black women, we're usually considered to be more strong and independent, so it doesn't happen as often. And women of age usually will happen to younger because they're more vulnerable versus older women, but also they're vulnerable. So I guess it just depends on the area as well.
My personal experience with women, men, and men and how they're portrayed in the media, as well as like sexually in the media. I personally want to be in the entertainment industry, and I want to be an entertainment broadcaster. So I look so much into the entertainment world just as a way, as a guideline. So I see a lot of things like hypersexualized women, or their body being the center of their career and things like that, as well as men too. They are also objectified in the industry. So I just look at that, and it kind of somewhat like causes me to feel as if I have to be like them, or as if I have to follow in their footsteps and do the things that they do, instead of going more so with my educational background and my overall experience in the industry. I have to take a more so image approach to it and make sure that my body is looking great to the public eye, and make sure that every day my makeup is done like that, because these are how the women in the entertainment industry right now are portrayed, and these are how the men are portrayed. So I look for men that are portrayed the same way in the industry. It's because this is something that I personally want to do. So I personally look at these aspects and kind of base who I am unknowingly on what the media portrays women and men and how they should be.
Okay, men and women are both portrayed very sexually within all types of media, but it's definitely drastic ends of the spectrum when it comes to men and women and their sexual portrayal. Because men, you have machismo, you have this and that, you have very dominant perspectives. Whereas with women, we're seen as more submissive, more vulnerable. There's more violence, sexual violence, especially if it's like fantasized, like in the crime shows with like rape and things like that, and non-consensual sex. Definitely myths of virgin purity and how that's sexier, or if you want something different, like you want to really the dirty girl, that's the sexy girl, the slut, It's just like, I don't see men being portrayed like that. It's a very big double standard with men. You know, oh, look how sexy he is with his shirt off and all the women he's sleeping with, and good for him, where it's like, oh, if she's displaying more skin than than the common person does, or something that you find offensive, she's a slut, and oh, she slept with 3 guys and that guy slept with 10. Well, if she's a slut, he's not. It's just very, very different.
In media, men are usually portrayed as like very masculine. They're always like fighting other guys, and they have a lot of money, or they dress really nice. And women are very like sexualized. They usually, even when they're like the bad guy in the movie or like the hero of the movie, like Catwoman, she's like sexified. Like they have short clothes on, or they have like their breasts hanging out. They can't just be successful in normal clothes. Like the women always have to be sexualized in media. And I think obviously sex plays a huge role in media because people are seeing, you know, their favorite superstars or whatever in the movies and in the TV shows having sex. They think that it's no big deal, like sex is just sex. So now younger girls, younger and younger, are starting to lose their virginity at like 13 and 14 years old, whereas, you know, before, when the media wasn't so accessible, they might have been saving themselves for marriage when they were 20, 21, 22. So obviously the media has a huge role, whether it's male, female, or sex.